Questions for Coach?
Will joked that they moved Ponitoski to pitcher for a reason. Aside from his scrambling ability, the other parts of it, obviously he had baseball a lot. How's the catch-up game for him when he's stepping into SEC football?
I think anytime quarterbacks come into a new system, one, just learning the vocabulary, right? Because we speak a different language here, right? So he's having to learn the vocabulary and also just learn how to play college quarterback. So he's kind of on learning two tracks here. But he's doing a nice job. You can see the natural talent. You can see him stand in the pocket, right? He has good vision, and he can definitely complete the football. So, he was a really good player in high school for a reason, right? So I think a lot of that's showing up. He's a fun kid. He's a lot of fun to be around. And yes, we definitely had some conversations about his standing on the mound a little bit, maybe too much this spring.
When it comes time to figure out who the backup quarterback's going to be, what do you think the deciding factor is going to end up being?
Well, I'm going to come out of my office, take a right, go all the way down the hall, and ask Will what he thinks. No, I think ultimately it's going to happen on the field, right? I think all the guys have shown some strengths. They've also had times where they could have done some things better, and that's what all this practice is about. That's why I love how we practice. We get a lot of reps. We get a lot of walkthrough reps, so I want to see him command the team, right? Who can make the other 10 guys in there better? Who can operate what we want to do? And then trade off who can execute what we want to do, right? So there's two pieces to that. And I think that's going to, reveal itself over time. Obviously, as time goes on, we'll have to give more reps to certain guys, right? And I think a lot of that's going to be decided, over the next few practices, right? And then we'll start to give guys who deserve it more opportunities to continue to show and elevate and see who can solidify themselves at that position.
Do you guys want to see them against the ones a lot to kind of test?
Yeah, I think at quarterback it's more just about, because it's not like, maybe a receiver if you're running a one-on-one route, right? You're against the best corner or whatever that might be, or if you're at tackle, if you're lining up at tackle, you're playing against a really good pass rusher. At quarterback, it's going to be more about, I want to see him going to the right place at the right time. Even sometimes if it isn't necessarily isn't perfect around them, I want to see how they operate, right, and how they do. So a lot of our judgment of them will be that. I don't know that they have to go against a better defense, trying to get them, make sure they're in there with some guys who can operate as well, right? So now we can actually see what they can do. Luckily, I think we've been able to have a little bit of depth and operate with our twos to a pretty decent extent, much better than in the spring, with the depth of the team. But we'll see, right? We'll see. It'll take every practice, every walk, and we'll evaluate everything.
Joe, when you were evaluating Canadian football film with extra players on the field and wider fields, what made you think that Callum could be a guy who could compete for that job?
Well, I think just that, right, in terms of playing quarterback, right? There's, and this is what I've talked to the guys about, and Callum too, right? You got to go play quarterback first, regardless of the system, regardless of what we ask you to do. Quarterbacks come in all shapes and sizes, all different strengths and weaknesses. So can you go play quarterback? Can you make decisions? Can you make the other 10 around you? Can you move the offense forward? Can you find completions, right? Can you protect the football? Can you either help us in the running game or get us into the right run play? Some kind of way, you got to help us. So I think you could see him just execute an offense at a high level and make a lot of throws, right? The ball comes out quick. So, and that's what I want to see, and that's where, his challenge is, right? Obviously, the time he got here trying to learn everything and do that, right? And I thought he had a good day today, right? I thought it was his best day, by far. So he just got to keep building on it, right? And go out and play, right? And just be the quarterback, right, that he is. But that's what we saw on tape.
Joe, what have you all seen from Jordan Bonds?
I love Jordan. I think he's a baller. One, he's got position flex, which is so important. He can play guard, he can play center. I think he has, sometimes guys are just centers, but he has the athletic ability and the power to play guard. He's not just going to be in there to snap the football and communicate, but yet, right, so now he can move in and play center, and now you got a really powerful athletic guy who can move his feet. Now, obviously, we have a really good center, so that helps, right? So, but Jordan's gonna play. You know what I mean? He if he continues to play the way that he has, he's gonna definitely help us a ton this fall.
Joe, have you seen anybody yet kind of step up and lead the receiver room? Because obviously there's not much that's back from last season on this team. So is there one
Right.
guy you kind of, or two, if anybody kind of stepped up and really taken ownership?
You know, I think those guys are really are coming together. I mean, I think, you know, and Nick obviously has been hasn't necessarily been full speed the entire time, but I think you continually see his leadership, which has been really cool to see because Nick's naturally kind of a quiet guy at times. So coming out of his shell that way, which has been fun. I think Shane Carr brings a ton of energy every day. You know, I think there's different guys that bring a ton of energy that way. But I would probably say from a veteran perspective, yeah, probably Nick, and that's where, you know, I'm excited to see what he can do this year, right? And take care of his body. I think he's slowly becoming a pro and learning how to do that. And, you know, everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. He's been through a lot that way. But I think he's definitely handling it well. And we definitely love his voice when he's out there.
Will mentioned the running backs today playing well, particularly Jason Patterson, some of the young guys. Is there, it seems like there's some opportunity there. Are you seeing guys really make strides to kind of seize that opportunity?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I mean, obviously, I think when CJ's had his opportunities, he's played really well. He and Vontae, they played a lot of football, right? But I think there's some other guys who are kind of in a battle right now, and I think there's different guys flashing in different ways. You know, Jason obviously gives a lot of comfortability in just playing the position. I think it's been really nice to see Mizell be healthy, and you see why he was, you know, why he was recruited at the level he was recruited at. I mean, he's got a lot of talent. I mean, I think there's some young guys, a couple of guys we added. I mean, I think they continue, you know, some of those guys continue to flash. Amir's had a couple really nice plays. So, you know, yesterday Martell's had a nice run, you know, a lot like one of the ones he had in spring, right? We're making a safety miss right at the end. So that's going to be a battle, and that's going to be a little bit like, I would say, in, you know, the number 2 quarterback spot. We're talking, it's going to be who can consistently show up every single day throughout. But to be honest, we're going to need plenty of backs. We want to do a lot of different things with them. We like to play multiple of them, and we're not afraid to put a couple of them on the field at a time. And I think, you know, Will, they did a great job of that at Oregon last year, and attacking people in different ways. We're going to use everybody we got, right, who can help us win on Saturdays. So I think that will continue to reveal itself. But I think they ran hard today, you know, which was good to see. You know, when we went out there in pads, I thought the O-line moved people, and I thought they ran hard, and I thought we had a couple of receivers really step and put their face in there. Shane and Brock, I thought, really came down and cracked a couple of folks.
Joe, is there somebody on offense that you don't think's been getting enough attention from in the conversation with him?
You know, I've talked about, I mean, I talked a little bit about, I think Ferg and Kenny Darby continue to show up, you know, as young guys. But, you know, I would say they've probably gotten a decent amount of attention, but I think they continue to show up. I think Henry Boyer has just been, he's been awesome, man, since we've been here. And, you know, I know he played some last year, but I really think his role has just really expanded, and I think he seized it. And he's just tough. He's out there all the time, and he's a big man now. I mean, you know, 265, 268 pounds, running around every day, all day, and you know, it's not like he's just going in and playing on the end of the line. I mean, he's doing a lot of different things. He's doing a great job, and that's, you know, I think somebody who's gonna play a really good role for us, right? An integral role for us this year. That maybe isn't talked about as much because, you know, Willie's obviously a really good player and exciting to talk about. But I think Henry's been awesome.
Joe, you talked about the wide receivers just a second ago, but we learned of a kind of late departure after media day. Do you still feel confident in the depth of that room in spite of that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think we've got a lot of guys competing and battling for all the spots, and I think different guys are showing up. I think some of those young guys are exciting, and I think they've all had their days. You know, it's going to be about who can consistently show up day in and day out and make the plays in critical situations, and a lot of times in match coverage, right? That's what we want to see. One, you know, the savviness of understanding where to be, when to be there, making the catch and then run after catch, but then also who can make the contact plays. DJ made a great contact play today, which was awesome. You know, to see him go make a competitive catch and finish it, right, and play with that tenacity. And that's I know Coach Stein's talked about that a little bit too from DJ, and that was fun to see. But no, I think we got a bunch of guys in there that can play and do everything we ask them to do. It's going to be fun. We'll just see who rises to the top as we go through August, and then, you know, even into fall.
Joe, you mentioned Mizell there. briefly, I believe, when you were talking about the running backs. What was it that jumped out at people when he was recruited and when he's healthy?
Yeah, I mean, he's a thick, good-looking cat now. I mean, like, he's thick. He can move laterally, right? I think he's got good twitch. You know, he hasn't been healthy. So I mean, that's the thing. He hasn't gotten to play that much football in the last couple of years, right? So just going out and playing football, and that's what I want to see him and all those guys. Like I talked about, there's a bunch of those guys and they're doing good stuff. But a lot of them are young in their game, right? Jason probably, you know, and CJ Vontae, a couple older guys. You know, Amir played a little bit, right? And Jordan and JUCO, but like, there's just a lot of guys who maybe haven't played on Saturdays. So, you know, myself's one of those. So just about going out and doing that all August, but he definitely has a physical talent, no doubt.
Okay, folks, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Sure.